Riverside, California, where just moments ago the district attorney held a press conference for an update on that disturbing case of alleged torture and child endangerment of 13 siblings. Let's listen in.
You know that as the Paris child abuse case. What I would like to do today is first tell you what we've charged and the potential consequences of those charges, and then tell you a little bit about the why we charged the case and give you a snapshot of some of the evidence. Of course, I do want to tell you up front, and I'll probably mention it again, this is an ongoing investigation. We are at the beginning, not the end. We do have enough information to go forward and file charges, and that's what we'll be discussing today. The charges that we filed are the following. We have filed 12 counts of violation of Penal Code Section 206 against both David and Louise Turpin. That is torture. We filed 1 count of a violation of Penal Code Section 288B1 against David Turpin, which is lewd act on a child by force or fear or duress. We filed 7 counts of violation of Penal Code Section 368B1, which is abuse of a dependent adult. We filed 6 counts of 273AA, which is child abuse or neglect. We have filed 12 counts of false imprisonment. The date range of these charges, they range from 2010 to the present. And the physical location, of course, is in Riverside County, alleged to have occurred in Murrieta and also Paris. If convicted of these charges, if convicted of all of these charges as currently filed, these defendants are facing up to 94 years to life in prison. The case has been moved to Department 54 of the Riverside County Courthouse, and we will be asking for bail to be set as scheduled. What that means is the normal bail given what we have filed, and that will be our request that bail be set at $13 million per defendant. Now what I'll do is tell you a little bit about the why and give you some snapshot of the facts of this case. It is just that. It is just a snapshot. And I will afterwards, I will open it up for questions, and I'll do the best I can to answer your questions. But as you probably know, there is much we still don't know, and there are many things I can't answer. So these are the facts. First, a quick caveat. As I've said, it is an ongoing investigation. It is a detailed investigation. We're going to go about this the way we always do, meticulously and carefully. As we always say here at the office, it's more important that we get it right than it is to do it fast. We're fully prepared to seek justice in this case and do so in a way that protects these victims from further harm. So, the brief overview, I'm providing a brief overview to you of the facts in the hope that anyone with additional information about these defendants, about these victims, about these crimes, will come forward and talk to the district attorney's office. These individuals, first what I want to tell you is these individuals sleep all day and are up all night. All 13 of the victims, including the defendants, typically go to sleep around 4 or 5 in the morning, sleep all day, and then be up all through the night. The victims report that as a punishment, starting many years ago, they began to be tied up. First with ropes. One victim at one point was tied up and hog-tied. And then when that victim was able to escape the ropes, these defendants eventually began using chains and padlocks to chain up the victims to their beds. These, as I said, these were a form of punishment meted out on these children and these adults. These punishments would last for weeks or even months at a time. The evidence is that 3 victims were chained up at the time the police first knocked on the door at the home in Paris. The defendants were able to get 2 of the victims unchained before the police actually entered. An 11 and 14-year-old were unchained as the police stood at the door, while a 22-year-old remained chained to a bed when the police entered the home. Circumstantial evidence in the house suggests that the victims were often not released from their chains to go to the bathroom. The 17-year-old victim that escaped had been working on a plan with her siblings to escape this abuse for more than 2 years. She escaped through a window and took one of her siblings with her. That sibling eventually turned back, became frightened and turned back, and went back into the house. The neglect and abuse started when the family lived in the Fort Worth area of Texas, with the parents at one point living apart from most of the children and dropping off food from time to time. The defendants lived in Texas for 17 years. In 2010, they moved to Murrieta, California, and in 2014 moved to their current residence in Paris, California, both, of course, in Riverside County. The abuse and severe neglect intensified over time and intensified as they moved to California. All the victims have now been examined by doctors and medical professionals. All the victims were and are severely malnourished. Specifically, severe caloric malnutrition associated with muscle wasting. To give you an example, one of the children at age 12 is the weight of an average 7-year-old. The 29-year-old female victim weighs 82 pounds. Several of the victims have cognitive impairment and neuropathy, which is nerve damage as a result of this extreme and prolonged physical abuse. None of the victims were allowed to shower more than once a year. I want to give you a quick example. One of the reasons for and this is all alleged conduct, I do want to mention that. One of the reasons for these punishments of being chained up to a bed were that, and by the way, the punishments included frequent beatings and even strangulation. One of the reasons for the punishments were if the children were found to wash their hands above the wrist area, they were accused of playing in the water, and they would be chained up. None of the victims have seen a doctor in more than 4 years. None of the victims have ever seen a dentist. The children were, when they were not chained up, locked in different rooms and fed very little on a schedule. They were not allowed to have toys, although there were many toys found in the house that were in their original package and had never been opened. Supposedly homeschooled, the children lack a basic knowledge of life. Many of the children didn't know what a police officer was. The 17-year-old, when asked if there was medication or pills in the home, didn't know what medication or pills were. About the only thing the children were allowed to do in their rooms or chained up was to write in journals. We now have recovered those journals, hundreds of them, and we are combing through them for evidence. One other thing, the parents would apparently buy food for themselves and not allow the children to eat it. They would buy food, including pies, apple pies, pumpkin pies, leave it on the counter, let the children look at it, but not eat the food. It's a very complex case. It's important that we gather and analyze this evidence. Based on the information I've shared with you today, it's my hope that members of the public will come forward with any information about this family or these crimes that could aid us in this ongoing investigation and case. If anyone out there has additional information, please call Senior Investigator Wade Walsvik at 951-955-5400, and I'll provide his email later. I do want to say a note of thanks to the Sheriff's Department. They've conducted a professional and excellent investigation, and we're working very closely with Sheriff's investigators. I do also want to mention before I open it up for questions. This case is going to be handled in a sensitive way. As I said, we're fully prepared to seek justice, but we have to do it in a way that protects these victims. They have been severely hurt and damaged, and we cannot cause them any further damage. At this time, I want to call up Melissa Donaldson. Melissa Donaldson is the director of our Victim Services Division. Just want to have her say a few words about our response, the district attorney's response from the victim side.
Good morning. Victim Services provide services to the victims of all crime types. In specific, these victims, there are so many that are minors and adults. We're going to be having 3 advocates that will be assisting and providing services to these children and adults. As Mike described, there are multiple issues with all these children, and they are going to take long-term help. Our victim advocates will go to court, they will work with CPS, and we will provide long-term and short-term services to make sure that they are not re-victimized and that we can help them move as far ahead on their health as we can. We also have a crisis response team that we've developed here in the DA's office, and those victim advocates are specially trained in mass casualty and victimization, and those staff are ready and serving the victims.
Hey folks, so we have updates on the Turpin family. It appears as if the authorities have placed a $13 million bail bond onto each one of them, so both Louise and David. Doesn't look like either one of them are going to get out, and as of the charges of late, if they all stick, it looks like they will get 94 years to life imprisonment each. Now, there's journals that have been found. These journals have been kept by the kids for many, many years. They're combing through everything to find more information and more crimes. And if they do, which they probably will, they're going to charge them with even more offenses. So it appears as if they were also in another state. They were in Texas before they moved to California. And that they're desperately looking for anybody who saw or heard anything that may have lived around them or dealt with them or shopped near them or seen them. The other horrific news that we found out today is that they were not allowed to be awake during the day. So they slept all day and they were up all night. What a perfect way to hide your little crime there, right? So let's be leery and weary of anybody who is doing things like that, who seems to be up all night, what are they hiding and what are they doing? Let's keep our eyes and ears open, folks, to things that are a little abnormal and be that voice and change. I've said it many times, but we are out there to make change happen, and that's what we're here for. So let's help each other. If you haven't clicked subscribe to my channel yet, there's a little red button below. Click that button. If you'd like to be notified of my videos first, then please click the bell and you will get a notification of my videos posted first. Thanks for watching, folks, and stay safe out there.